So we started slowly anticipating, trying to anticipate what potentially could go wrong. But there are some things that could go wrong, and I'll talk about them fairly freely. There's billions of dollars at stake. And any time there is that much money in a particular industry, there are stakeholders, and those stakeholders are around the table. And we have had a very, very accessible last few months where we've been able to talk to anybody that we want. But when you move around a third of $70 billion, there are winners and there are losers. And I think that is, we are trying to create a situation where the consumer, the patient, is the winner. But you have to ask yourself, what is the value add 10 years from now of a small provider, of a large provider, of an insurance company, of a small payer? And I think those folks are very concerned. I think people are very concerned. And so what could go wrong is that we run into speed bumps and roadblocks of powerful people around the Commonwealth who don't want to embrace change. Now that's on the stakeholder side. On the consumer side, what can go wrong is that, and I talked about it a little bit, when we are dealing with our loved ones, and if we feel in any way as though we are not getting the care we deserve, the system will absolutely fail. What happened in the 90s that then led to the Patient Bill of Rights was a feeling as though people were not getting the care that they needed. And we, at some point, we'll have a quality of life discussion. We'll have the dreaded end of life discussion. I think we think in a rosy place that if you have a better relationship with your primary care provider, there'll begin to be more shared decision making. It doesn't always work that way. We know every statistic shows that people live longer at home or in hospice than they do than in ICU. The folks from the hospitals can tell you that. Yet when we're faced with that choice, we want what's best for our loved one, and we want to try everything we possibly can to keep them alive for as long as we possibly can. That type of care is extraordinarily expensive. So even though we're dealing with a market, it's a public good. And when it's a public good that we all participated in, usually when we participate in it, we're doing it in a very emotional place. We're not being thoughtful when we present an emergency room because we were in an accident or we don't feel well or our child doesn't feel well. I think those are the pitfalls that over time, I'm hopeful that we can correct those through a long, arduous education process, but there will be problems, and there will be people that feel as though they're not getting the best, and there will be doctors that accept more risk than they can handle because their eyes become wide open to the various amounts of money that they think they can make. And we've got to be prepared, and we've got to be flexible enough to work in that system. And we've got to leave open the possibility for those integrated care organizations that will emerge and do things really, really well without putting together a one-size-fits-all approach that forces everyone into a system that won't work for everybody.